Hello, hello. Can everyone hear me? Awesome. Thanks everyone for joining. I am really excited to welcome you all to, first of all, this wonderful building, because this is such an incredible occasion for us, but also such a beautiful venue. So a big thank you to Salesforce for hosting us here. Can everyone please just give them a big round of applause? Thank you. Yeah, I still can't believe it's been 10 years since we started Catalysr. And there are many of you who have played a huge role over the years in helping us get to this point. So some of you already know this stuff. For some of you, this will be the first time. But I want to share the story of Catalysr, my personal story, how it came to be, where we are right now. And then we've got some amazing speakers who's going to tell them about their stories of being incredible migrant entrepreneurs and really contributing a lot to Australia. And hopefully we'll contribute a lot more in an ongoing kind of basis as well. So starting off, I want to start with an acknowledgement of country and pay my respects to the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, and also want to acknowledge and welcome any First Nations people that we've got here in the room with us. This land is such a beautiful land. It's Gadigal land, and the sovereignty has never been ceded. For us as migrants who have moved to this country from so many different nations around the world, it is a huge privilege to be walking and working on this incredible Indigenous land, and for us to learn from our First Nations people as well. So I personally feel really privileged to be able to kind of work here and kind of get supported by our First Nations people, and we really want to do more with our First Nations people as well. One of the things we do is we run programs that are combining both First Nation entrepreneurs and migrant entrepreneurs as well, called Diverse Perspectives, which is one of our initiatives to really connect with our First Nations community, and particularly First Nations entrepreneurs, and then also support them as well. Because as migrants, I believe we all have a responsibility to connect with our First Nations communities and also to work together to create this joint future that we all want to have and we all want to live in. So with that, I want to say thank you again, everyone, for joining. And really, I guess, just get started on the Catalysr journey. So before I kind of talk about how we create impact, essentially, some of you already know this, but my own personal journey is the journey of Catalysr. I co-founded Catalysr back in 2016. And again, coming back to 10 years is just surreal. And it was this idea that I had because of my own personal journey and kind of experience. So I came from Pakistan in 2013. I had an engineering degree from Pakistan. I came here and I studied and did a master's in engineering management. And like many other immigrants, I was struggling to find a job. So I tried to apply for lots and lots of roles across the country, but really found it hard to get a meaningful role. So what I was doing was basically, driving Ubers, working in 7-Eleven, the kind of usual jobs that many immigrants do. But I didn't want that to define me and my life. And so I said, well, if other people are not going to give me a job, I'm just going to start my own business. I initially started a company in the clean tech sector, which failed because I had no idea what I was doing. But that really gave me this kind of, I guess, experience of, actually, let's just try something, let's do something. And within that journey, I actually got really lucky and found a program that was run by City of Parramatta, who are here today, and thank you for supporting us for the last 10 years, which was supporting young people who wanted to start a social enterprise. At the time, I had no idea what a social enterprise was, but I participated in that program, and that's where I met my co-founder, Jake. And both of us basically talked about different ideas and thought about what is something that we can do. I still remember meeting a mentor there who told me to try and fix a problem that I faced rather than, kind of create another tech solution. And so for me, that problem was this issue of unemployment, but particularly underemployment that many immigrants, refugees, international students that come to Australia face. And so I was like, well, I'm here, I'm trying to start a business. Why don't we help other people like us basically start their own business as well? So that was kind of the basis of Catalysr. I was like, well, surely there's some learnings that I've had from my own failure that I can hopefully share with others. But also, it was a great way to network with each other, right? So, to be honest, in the beginning, it was just a way for me to create my own job, right? I wasn't thinking more than that. I was like, okay, we're going to start this thing. Let's see how it goes. Whether it even works. So we started and we did our first pilot program in Parramatta back in 2016 with 10 people, with a little bit of funding from the local council and New South Wales government. We just got started. And really, within that first program, we saw a huge spark in the eyes of many incredible migrants from different countries. And so we said, well, we have no idea what we're doing because we're just getting started. I have no idea what I'm doing because I'm a migrant. I'm just trying to figure my own way out. But the fact that we are able to support these people and help create pathways for them and for them to start their own businesses just really gave me a lot of confidence that this is something that we can do for a long period of time. So fast forward, now we are coming up to 10 years and we have learned a lot on this journey, have had a lot of ups and downs from running our program starting in Parramatta to then expanding into Victoria, then getting through the pandemic and really all the ups and downs that many of you would have probably seen. And we've got one of our amazing team members, Marlo, who was our head of operations at the time, and she helped us really navigate through that COVID period and just digitize everything, because everything we used to do was in person before that. And that really led us to essentially create this this program that was national and that was able to support everyone. And so coming up to 10 years, really, really privileged to be able to have all the people in the room who are joining us and kind of supporting us. What we do right now is we've got essentially 3 key, areas in which we support. One is through our fellowship program. So these are really early stage programs that we offer for migrant, refugee, international student founders across the country. And their goal is to do startup education. So if you have a startup idea or social impact idea and you want to get started, you can go through these programs. It's a chance for you to learn how to start your business, but it's also a chance for you to basically get the right community, get coaching and that support. We've also got our accelerator program for those startups that further progress into the kind of starting their own business and then growing. And that's where we can provide them a lot of support through one-on-one mentoring, particularly through our entrepreneur in residence. So we've got a few EIRs who support us in that journey. We've got like a few EIRs here. We've got Soleil, we've got Rai, we've got Vib, we've got lots of different EIRs. Brian is another one. And so there's many EIRs who help us provide that one-on-one coaching at that stage. And the goal is to help them raise capital or to grow their business. And then finally, we've got an alumni hub. And that's where we really help alumni who are there, who are looking for support to grow their business, to figure out how do they actually grow their business, how do they connect with the broader ecosystem, how do they connect with different funds if they're trying to raise capital, how do they hire a team, how do they build culture in the organization, all sorts of those kind of business things that they're looking for. And these are the numbers that we've got over the years. So you probably won't be able to read everything, but at a high level, we have been really privileged to support about over 1,200 people from across Australia. What I am really proud of, and I say it all the time, is that nearly half of them, 48%, have been women that we've been really, really lucky and privileged to support. They've come from 87 different countries of origin, which kind of demonstrates how lucky we are to have such a diverse country and incredible entrepreneurs here. Out of those 1,200 plus, we've had 300 plus businesses that have started and are operating right now. And then many of the other people have found jobs in the ecosystem or have had a significant opportunity to upskill. Again, a great stat that we found through our research with Social Impact Hub was that the businesses that are running, on average, they've created 28 jobs. So that's 28 new opportunities, not just for migrants, but for everyone who is living in Australia. And then also in terms of capital raising through grants, through investment, through angel investors and other VCs, like on average, they've raised 350K as well. So that just shows the grit and the resilience that people have when they're coming from a different country. They're just getting started, but they're not just creating an opportunity for themselves, but for so many other people that are also moving here, but also people that live here locally as well. So in terms of who has supported us, obviously, I'm standing here talking about my story, and I think this is it's hard to put everyone on the slide. There's probably another 20, 30 logos that are missing, but there's been loads and loads of organizations, foundations, different government councils, local, state level. We've got different private sector organizations. We've got education organizations, startup organizations, community organizations that have supported us. And some of you are here from different organizations, like particularly Sam from Tech Visa, who has supported us through not just supporting us, but also he's become a new director for us and has been helping us in that role as well. And so it's just been incredible to have so many partner organizations and collaborators who've helped us, because the whole point of this is to connect migrants into the ecosystem. So because we've got that opportunity to partner with many organizations, that's how we actually reach out and connect. And a question that a few of you have asked me, and something that I've reflected on as well, what's next for us? Like, how do we go from 1,200 people to 10,000 people? So for us, the real secret sauce for us is our alumni. You will probably see half of the room here are alumni who are incredible founders themselves. And what we want to do next is train them up so they can actually help us co-design and co-deliver programs in different cities, in different contexts, because they've got a lot of skills, expertise, but particularly their lived experience that they can bring to the table. Many of the alumni already are EIRs who are helping us. So we've got Sakshi, we've got Sylvia, who've really been helping us over the years. And so the goal is to train more alumni that they can actually help us deliver programs. And as I said, the big goal for us is supporting 10,000 Migrapreneurs by 2030. So the next 5 years, that's my personal goal, and that's Catalyzer's goal. And as a result of that, what we've got is about 2,500 plus startups and social enterprises that want to create, right? So you can imagine if each of those create 28 jobs per organization, that will be lots and lots of opportunities for many different people that are coming to Australia, but also everyone who's locally living here and really looking at that opportunity. So I want you to kind of remember this, because this is something that I will come back to. But this is a QR code, and you will see this a few times today, right? So I'm going to keep hammering on about this, because everyone here has some sort of a connection to Catalyzer or has been invited, because we really try to make sure that we make a room that's very curated. And so if you can scan this QR code, we would love for you to just put your details and tell us how can you support us. It doesn't have to be through money. We're not asking you to give us money tonight. We're asking you to help us with connections, with networks. It could be through mentoring. It could be your time, whatever that might be. If you can scan this, that will be amazing, because that will really help us reach those 10,000 Migrapreneurs by 2030. As I said, I'll bring this QR code up a few times, and you will also get that in your email. So I'm not going to let anyone here go. Just remember. But that's just something that, and the real reason is because, as you've seen the previous slide, there's just so many incredible organizations that have supported us, but in turn have supported other migrant entrepreneurs who've come to Australia and who are looking for opportunities. Many of these people are really hungry and want to do something. And so to be able to provide them opportunity, we need that support. And all of you can really help make that happen. But with that, I just want to stop speaking, because I feel like I'm speaking for too long, and really give this opportunity to bring a wonderful migrant entrepreneur in his own right, Ashik Ahmed. He is from Deputy. He's an incredible migrant entrepreneur. He's got an incredible story. I'm not going to spoil it for you. Please give Ashik a very warm welcome.
Tough act to follow. Thank you, Osman, Sam, and team for inviting me. Thank you, David Coleman, for connecting me. Those of you who don't know, David Coleman, my local member, is TV. Please feel free to connect with him as well. And a special thanks to all the community and the event sponsors that's making this happen. When I started Deputy in 2008, there was no Catalysr. It's amazing to see the evolution of the tech ecosystem that has happened in Australia, and it's vital. It's vital that we nourish the ecosystem so we can build Australia for tomorrow. Our children must have a better future in Australia than we have. Australia of the past was great at extracting wealth out of the ground and exporting overseas, still doing that today. But I believe Australia of future, we will actually build great product and services that the whole world can use. And event like this tonight will go a long way for achieving that. I might be standing here labeled as a successful entrepreneur, someone who has built this so-called unicorn business, which probably doesn't apply right now given what's happening in the SaaS industry, if you have checked the news. But the path to it was nothing short of ultimate struggle, sacrifice, and as I was joking before, probably I have bullshitted my way the entire way. So if I can do it, you can. Okay, but let me take on a journey. I consider myself more of an accidental entrepreneur. I was born in a country called Bangladesh. I've got a fellow Bangladeshi entrepreneur and probably some other in the audience. It used to be called East Pakistan before 1971 as well. It's actually the country's size of Tasmania with the population of Russia. Chance of building a unicorn business in Bangladesh is pretty close to zero. It's a third world developing country which has had quite a lot of political and economic issues. Quite often, if you see SBS, you'll see some not so positive thing happening in the country, even until a few months ago. So I actually consider the greatest ticket I got in life is to call Australia home. There's a passion, there's a saying is that, you don't choose your passion, but your passion chooses you. And that's somewhat what's ended up happening with me. Somehow, Lord Almighty has chosen for me that I will try to solve the problem for getting the right person to do the right job at the right time. And that's deputy. After graduating from computer science in University of Melbourne, I started my career in a company called AeroCare. It's actually it used to be based here in Sydney. It became Australia's largest ground handling services company. It went from a founder to 2 private equities and then finally got sold to Swissport. If you are flying in Sydney or Melbourne and you look out the window of any plane, all the people on the ground that is running around, that used to be AeroCare and with a different badge called Swissport now. When I joined the company, I was the sole IT person for the company. It was about 200 people. I ended up creating a mini deputy for managing the labor workforce in that company. And in space of 3 years, we went from 200 people to 1,400 people without any outside capital. It purely was just a case of creating labor efficiency and workforce management done right. There's a lot of learnings, but one thing I took away from working in AeroCare that I applied in building deputy, and I actually shared that with every entrepreneur, is that revenue is actually vanity. Margin is sanity, and cash is gravity. I'm going to repeat that again so that it's ingrained in your mind. Revenue is vanity, margin is sanity, cash is gravity. So generate more cash. Your cost will be your biggest enemy in your business. It's not the competition. I reached my goal with AeroCare, and I wanted to work in Silicon Valley. I actually resigned and about to get on a plane, and I got a call from my co-founder, Steve Shelley. He asked, hey, Ashik, all my other friends who are running that one restaurant or that one bar, they are still struggling. And they asked me how have I built that wealth. They don't have a system to manage their workforce. How about we do something together? I thought a lot about it. There's no direct translation for the word entrepreneur in my mother tongue. I don't know how I can explain that to my parents that I don't have a job. So I actually said that, yeah, sure, let's do this, but we'll be 50-50. And that's how Deputy got started. And my fundamental belief over there was, if I can do it for one Steve Shelley, who is my co-founder, what if I could do it for every other Steve or John in the world? And that's how Deputy was born. And we chose the name Deputy because it's another word for second in charge. And back then, getting the .com domain was a really big marketing exercise. And somebody from South Korea was squatting on it, wanted 160,000 euros for it. But GFC was bad, but he gave it to us for 30,000. It remained probably the biggest marketing spend for quite some time at Deputy. Anyway, ironically, the only condition he had placed for starting Deputy, that it cannot be north side of the bridge. I thought, he meant that bridge. But I actually overcomplied and made sure that it doesn't cross the Tarrant Point Bridge. So Deputy was actually in Caringbah for a better part of his life. And that was the beginning and the end of good times. I did not know anything about building a business. Reid Hoffman, the founder of LinkedIn, has a saying is that, Entrepreneurship is like jumping off a cliff and building a plane as you are falling and hoping you don't crash. When I reflect on my deputy journey of 17 years, I think I felt and crashed about 30 times before I got flying. Look, I was an engineer. I'm a software engineer by trade. I had no idea how to build a business. I had no idea on sales and marketing. I was pretty terrible at hiring. I have no idea on legal. I have no idea on fundraising. I had no idea about accounting and finance. I still trip up on debit and credit from time to time. Don't get me wrong, I love cash. I just don't get the vibe with accounting that much. And Claude wasn't around back then, or when ChatGPT wasn't around back then. Anyway, I had to go through baptism by fire in all these aspects. And when they talk about entrepreneurship being the perpetual ladder of incompetency, and I felt like it's a never-ending game of Donkey Kong, where you just keep playing and you hope you don't die. Fireballs after fireballs. I can tell you I'm still facing some fireballs, even today, just a couple of hours ago. Anyway, on the day we started Deputy, my co-founder shared another wisdom that I thought was really, really useful, is that entrepreneurship is like being on a wheel of, am I allowed to swear? Okay. Okay. Entrepreneurship is being in a wheel of shit. Okay? Don't get too comfy at the top because it will get bad, and don't die at the bottom because it will get better. What he didn't tell me is the rotation speed of that wheel. I have gone through it up to 30 times sometimes, or 10 times in a day. I mean, a couple of years ago, there was an article in AFR about Deputy being a success story. I remember getting interviewed by AFR during the day. At the very same time, I had to walk around with a bodyguard. I had to put my family on hiding because there was a threat on my life because something had gone really, really bad somewhere else in the company. All while putting up a straight face and, everything is fine. Or the time when COVID hit, 80% of Deputy customers were hospitality and retail. With the lockdown, oxygen got sucked out of the air for us. In a venture-backed business like Deputy, where you are literally measured on your month-on-month growth rate, I cannot possibly explain the pain I felt to see like 80% of the revenue getting turned off overnight. The closest thing I had probably once experienced was when I had a deep cut in my body and I was bleeding so bad, waiting for the ambulance to come, and thinking like I'm just gonna die and there's no way of saving myself. And COVID felt like that, except now 350 people are looking at me thinking that whether they have a job or not. I had to lay off 40% of the company. There are people just I had hired a few months ago at November or December 2019. I convinced them, come and join Deputy, don't go to a Salesforce or Atlassian or Canva, and then having to look them in the eye and tell them they don't have a job. To this date, some of those things still give me the shivers. Even though all the struggles that we had gone through, Deputy had survived and ended up thriving. I had got into the company to about 100 million in recurring revenue, ARR, which seemed like that never-ending milestone that I'll never get to when we started the company with no revenue, and got to that 1 billion valuation. Been very grateful for having quite a lot of a customer actually investing into the company at that valuation. And result of that, there are dozens of paper millionaires in Deputy. And there's still so much to go on for. I would not be here if it wasn't for Lord Almighty, my co-founder, the support I've received from my family, my team, the investors, Australia, I must say, and most importantly, all the customers. For all the entrepreneurs who are in the audience, I salute you from the bottom of my heart. I feel your pain. I'm cheering for you. If you're in the good times, push to the comfort zone so you can be in the edge of uncomfortableness. And if you are in that, and if it's bad times for your industry, know that this is probably the most unique opportunity for you to beat your competition and the incumbents. The way I like to think about bad times is, and I learned this during COVID, it's like in a Formula One race when it rains. A lot of drivers will get to the wall. If you can just stay out of trouble, you will win. And now is the time. If you're facing the bad times in your industry right now, now is the time for you to shine. You can move, you can adapt, you can dodge much faster than the established players of the industry. I'll give you a simple formula. It sounds almost way too simple to grow any business to great success. I like to define this as A times B times C. A is solving a unique problem. B, people you have solved it for, making sure they love you for it. The definition of love is if your product was to be taken away, are your customers going to beg and cry to get it back? C is finding more Bs who has As. A times B times C. It's not plus, it's times. So if you get a 0 in one of them, the net result is 0. So if you just keep focusing on the customer, keep focusing on the product, both of which will keep changing because of the times, and so long you don't give up and you persevere, there's nothing that stops you from being successful. Entrepreneurship is the biggest calling for humanity. Great entrepreneurs create great businesses employ a great number of people. The positive socio-economic impact that entrepreneurship has, as Usman has highlighted, is something so great. The Dalai Lama actually has a saying that live such a great life that you live it twice on your deathbed. Entrepreneurship actually gives you that. And it's very important for Australia, for our economy, for the migrant community, for Australia. And keep going. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming. And I just wanted to give you a bit of a thank you. Thank you for speaking. Thank you for sharing your story. And thank you for inspiring many amazing entrepreneurs and particularly migrant entrepreneurs. Can I see people raise their hand if you're from Bangladesh? Just so, yeah, there's a few, 2 people.
And I've got really bad broken English, as you can see.
And one of them is actually a company that you've invested in. So speak to Ashik if you can find him. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for speaking. Cheers. Now it's a hard act to follow. That's you did really wonderfully well. Thank you. So I'm going to remind you about this. If you have just joined in the last few minutes and have not scanned this QR code, you should. There's a lottery at the other end. No, I'm kidding. There's no lottery. It is, we would love your support if you can just tell us how you can help. It could be through mentoring. It could be through helping us connect with potential funders, supporters, sponsors. So please sign this, scan this, because it's a very simple form. It will take you 2 seconds to fill out. Thank you. With that, what I want to do is I want to invite some incredible alumni that we have, because they have been the ones that have been kind of the face of Catalysr. They've been the ones that have been actually going out there and doing the hard work, as you're kind of talking about, Ashik, as well. So we've got some wonderful alumni, and they're going to tell you their amazing stories. If I can please get you to come up and take your seat. We've got Nandeeta, we've got Tanvir, we've got Saurabh, and we've also got Sakshi. Can everyone please give them a big round of applause? Thank you. Can you all just see if your mic's working?
Hello? Yep.
Hello.
Hello.
Yep.
And I'll just
Hello.
sit here. So it's easy as well. Just give me one moment. Perfect. Let's see. So what I'm going to do there is I'm just going to ask them some questions about their journey, where they are, what kind of work they've been doing, and the impact they've had. But also, if you've got any questions as well, please have a think about that, because we will have a roving mic at the end and you can ask as well. So I want to start with you, Nandeeta, and obviously go in that order. If you can just please share your journey, what brought you to Australia and inspired you to kind of start your business, and just tell us a bit more about what you're doing as well.
Yeah, thank you so much, and thank you everyone. Nandeeta Maharaj. I came to Australia 20 years ago. I came because my husband got a contract, and for 1 year contract, 20 years later, 2 children later, we're still here. So my background's marketing. I've mainly worked in marketing roles, so Dell, Telstra, News Limited, so all the big corporates here in Australia. So it was, it was very empty for me. I always felt like there was more I could do rather than just turn up to work and just do the work I was doing. Being brought up in a family where charity was a big thing. And then I discovered social enterprise. I was at an event and I heard the founder of this company talk about his business. So for every meal they sold, they donated one. So I pursued him until he gave me a job. And I worked as in the social enterprise space for him for 4 years. And during those 4 years, I learned the profound change a determined social enterprise can make in people's lives, or the cause they've set out to solve, or the problem they've set out to solve. And once that role ended, there's 12,000 social enterprises in Australia. So these are businesses who use their profit for good, who employ people who face barriers. So 12,000 of them. And I said, right, let me start buying from these 12,000 social enterprises. But I couldn't find a central place to buy from them. So I created one. It's called Goods for Good. And I'm very lucky to have been running that for 4 years. I have 70 amazing social enterprises, founders on that platform, and over 700 products. So that was 4 years ago. And as of 4 weeks ago, I launched my second company. It's called Made for Change. It makes a Indian chili condiment. 50% of profits are donated to culturally informed charities that help women escape domestic violence. So completely inspired by the 70 social enterprises on my platform, as well as working for WageEck as a volunteer. So yeah, that's me.
Thank you for sharing your story. Over to you, Tanvir.
I mean, I don't know if I can follow that. Incredible. Hi, everyone. I'm Tanvir. I founded a company called Wholesum, and I was very fortunate to be sort of incubated and developed through the whole Catalysr journey, from the fellowship version, which was called the pre-accelerator back then, and then through the accelerator. Essentially, Wholesum, we do 3 things. We provide investment solutions, so running licensed funds, co-investment opportunities, and then we run in through our financing arm, we do business financing. So we support a lot of migrant founders, women founders, and we also invest into emerging and developing countries around the world. And then in our education solutions, we're primarily educating a lot of migrants about wealth management, building wealth, connecting them with service providers. I was born in Bangladesh, and we moved here when I was 6 years old, primarily because the government then, as it does still, had some amazing skilled migration programs. And at the time, my mum, well, she still is a teacher, incredible run. She applied and she got in, and there was an incredible Australian lawyer based in Bangladesh helping a lot of migrants go through the paperwork, which was incredibly difficult. So through her and through her successful application, we came to Australia. And I guess the thing that in terms of why I started Wholesum, one of the fundamental whys was being very cognizant that I didn't really do anything to come to Australia. Like, I didn't apply for a job. I didn't study, submit for an application to be a student. I was just fortunate. There's many other kids that were studying in my kindergarten at Bangladesh, and they didn't get that opportunity. So, and going back to Bangladesh on a regular basis, something my parents really invested in. They didn't have investments. I talk about investments now. They had no investments, but the one investment they did make, which has paid the biggest dividends for me, is that every little bit of savings I had was to take us on a plane, go back to Bangladesh every couple of years to connect with our roots. So that was a clear thing about my why I wanted to make a difference, which is like, well, I've got all this opportunity. Why can't I do something to help people? Then figuring out the what of what to do was obviously very hard. I mean, okay, I want to have impact. I want to try and be my own entrepreneur. I hated working in big companies, so that I ruled that out early on in my career. And that, again, came from the migrant community. When I returned to Australia, having worked in large project finance deals in the Middle East, like solar farms and wind farms, people were saying, you studied finance, how do I invest my money? It's like the typical question to ask at a barbecue or a family gathering, other than like, how's the property prices going? And I wasn't a financial planner, I can't give advice, but I thought, okay, look, I've spent time working on investments in very interesting markets, and particularly, I was amazed at why is everyone chasing the stock market and property? No offense to people who work in those industries, they're the biggest capitalized asset classes. I was spending time working in Indonesia and in the Middle East on solar projects, on agricultural farmers, and I thought, these farmers work really hard. They make good money. The economics make sense. Why aren't we investing into them? And you know, back then, it still is today, people are like, you invest in Indonesia, you must be crazy. So that became, okay, the what, which is people want to invest, let me create an investment product that will really excite people. And on the other hand, I found that a lot of migrants weren't getting funding. So the investment thesis was, okay, we'll raise capital through a fund and we'll invest into businesses. And then it became the how, and that's probably the hardest part of the journey. We heard about Ashik's story. I had no idea about the funds management industry. If anyone has any relationship with that, you know how crazy it is. The barriers to entry, the incredible fixed cost, the compliance burden. I have some of my clients ask me, like, do you sleep at night? I'm like, yeah, usually I do. Thankfully, I have a great compliance team. But because it's just very, well, not only challenging, very expensive, but this is also one of the reasons I wanted to do this, because so many people get scammed, unfortunately, in the migrant community. Hundreds of $1 million a year, if not billions. And not to mention how a lot of people I know are donating to Commonwealth Bank shareholders just because they don't invest their cash. So that's been the journey of trying to figure all that out with the wonderful mentors and advisors and shareholders. And is Solai here? Yes, there you are. Great. Having amazing EIRs like Solai, who's really helped us. And I want to give a plug. She's now part of our external investment committee, so applying rigor to our investment decision making. So shout out to her, and it was fun. That'll be enough.
So now we're going to move on from investment to Comix. Over to you.
Yeah. See, I'm here for levity. Hi everyone, my name is Saurabh. I was born and raised in India. I moved to Australia 11 years ago. I was working as CTO at flatmates.com.au back then. Since then, I've been really lucky here to have worked in some really fantastic early day startups, you know, like Tasker, Afterpay, a lot of those amazing businesses, help them see and, you know, grow over last many years. So I'm also a creator by heart, and I have written a lot throughout my life. So I have written, at one point, I used to ghostwrite a lot of United States applications. So, you know, in universities in the United States, you have to write essays to get into them. And I had a business running solely by ghostwriting those applications for a very long time. So, so I have been a writer by heart. I wrote my first comic book in 2016-17. I got it funded on Kickstarter with a group of people. And that's when I started thinking about this problem where a lot of creators that I keep talking to have this issue where they create something, but they don't know what to do next. Like they really have a good creative idea. They can bring a project to life, but they really don't know the next step. How do they market that? How do they find fans? How do they build a community around it? How do they sustain it till they go to the next project? You know, like that part in the middle is actually so hard. They struggle for several years before they can actually create, you know, another copy of the next book. So if they created issue 1 or volume 1 in this year, they will take like 2 or 3 years to reach the next volume. And, you know, like by then they lose steam, the fans go away and all of that stuff. So that's where the idea for Comix came along, and started building a community around it. At the moment, we are around 2,000 books strong. We have creators from the US, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, UK. We're trying to onboard creators from Japan and India at this moment. So there's a lot of traction. You can do a lot of stuff on it. So you can sell the books digitally, which are distributed through the platform. You can get books printed on demand. So we have a partnership with the printer in the US who are able to print one book on demand and ship it to the fans. We also have a crowdfunding platform. And very recently, just this month, we have raised around $5,000 for a small creator in Blackbutt, New South Wales, of all places. So, the idea is that a creator from a rural community in New South Wales can be now empowered with this platform, and they can go out and fundraise with the fans in the US or Canada and anywhere in the world, and they can bring their projects to life. We have a full ecosystem now that supports the creators with all these things like printing, shipping, packaging, delivering books to the door for the fans, and yeah, that's where we are.
Thank you so much. Thanks for sharing your story, and what an incredible achievement as well on kind of supporting with creatives, now also with fundraising as well. That's fantastic. Last but definitely not least, Sakshi, over to you.
Damn, I shouldn't have gone last. I'm Sakshi. I was born in Kuwait and I was raised between India and Kuwait. And I migrated here when I was 7 because at the time women didn't have the right to vote. And so my parents were like, nope, if Sakshi wants to be a prime minister, she should be able to do that. So we're moving. Lucky for you all, I don't want to do that. So that's great news for you all. Instead, I ended up going to uni here and then worked at EY for a couple of years. I actually had a really wonderful partner at EY who recognized that I wanted to do things a little bit differently and I had a lot of creative ideas. And so he was like, Sakshi, why don't you just take a year off and see if you can think of different creative ideas that you want to work on. And if you want to come back, we'll sort that out. And so that's what I did. And during that time, I built a tech startup, which was a reporting software. And I learned a lot. And unfortunately, I shut that down, but I had many lessons. And what happened is I had this AFR article written about some seed funding that we received and had some VC interest, but I knew mentally I was shutting this thing down. So I decided I would run away and go back home, which is India. So India is a code for me. And I decided I wouldn't go back to Mumbai. I would go back to a city where no one knew me. And so I met this lovely woman, Gail, who's now my co-founder. And what she was doing was fundraising in Melbourne to provide textiles education to the sex worker community in Pondicherry. And so I was like, great, I had this finance background. I will love to come and help you out with your finances. And she's like, awesome. I'm like, can I go tomorrow for 3 months? She's like, yeah. And so that's what I did. I was in Pondicherry for 3 months and I realized that all the women that I was working with were actually also the women that I would see at the beach in my evening walks. So what I recognized is that the education part wasn't being translated into real impact, which was the employment part. And so the more I delved deeper into the problem I was trying to solve, I realized that a lot of women from low socioeconomic communities are on survival mode. And for them, it's always about putting food on the table. And so I was like, okay, how can I fix this? And so I ended up accidentally building a social enterprise at that time, which is now called Sowing the Seeds. And we provide textiles education to women from low socioeconomic communities and then employment as well. And we do that by hand-making wholesale products for customers across the globe. So Salesforce and Ashik, if you'd like some products made for your company and your 400 employees that I heard about today, let me know. And I guess my why and my inspiration, which I'm unpacking over time because when I started it, I was 24 and now I'm 32, was because I am Sindhi. And so my grandmothers were refugees during the partition time, and they both did not finish school. And so my dadi, so my dad's mother, she would teach herself how to sew in order to save money and make clothes for my dad and his brothers. And my nani, she didn't finish school, but she always had a passion for fashion. That was a rap right there, unintentionally. But I feel like I've accidentally created something that they both would have loved and would have really benefited from. And whilst both of them are not here with me today, I feel like they they forced this out of me through me. And so I think that's been my inspiration for sowing the seeds.
Thank you for sharing your story and what you're doing for Millennia as well. It's fantastic. I know some of you might have questions as well, so I'm going to come to you in a second. But I'm really curious to hear from both you, Sakshi and Tanvir, because I know you're supporting other entrepreneurs as well. And I know you've obviously been an EIR at Catalysr. So maybe we'll start with you and then we'll come to you, Tanvir, around like what's been, like, how are you kind of giving back to the community and supporting other migrants and refugees kind of that are based here in Australia?
Yeah, I don't think I'm doing enough. I feel like I could always be doing more. But whenever I get the chance, helping Usman out with Catalysr has been a real joy. I also facilitate other programs with refugees and migrants that come through that already have a business set up. And it's just helping them translate the learnings and the setup that they've had in their home country in Australia. And I think I don't gatekeep information, so I almost overshare all my learnings if anyone wants them. And I think that's been helpful. And I think the biggest pain point that I faced as a migrant when I was working on my tech startup, which is probably why I left it as well, is at that time Catalysr didn't exist, and I felt like I stuck out like a thumb in every networking event I went to, or felt like no one really understood the cultural nuances when it comes to fundraising. Like fundraising with family and friends is just not the norm in my culture. In fact, we're the other way around. The kids usually give the money to a family and friends. So it's just those little nuances that I really struggled with as a migrant. So I think one way I try to give back is just holding space for everyone that might want to have a chat about some experiences they've had, and then facilitating programs where I can. And I also truly believe in the magic of serendipity. So where I can, I'll do some random acts of kindness, and I've received it as well. So for example, I want to give you a shout out, Marlo. I remember I was running a program for refugees and migrants, and no, just refugees actually. And they were all translating their home country businesses into Australia, and they really wanted to learn about Canva. And I knew Marlo was working there at that time, and I know in her world all she did was an intro, but in my world she didn't just do me an introduction, she got me a point of contact that then helped me get 10 refugees into the Canva office, where we co-designed how they can use Canva in their native language. And the impact of that is incredible. But I'm giving this example because it's not you don't have to do big things to have a big impact. Sometimes it's just an introduction or sharing your knowledge or your networks gratefully. And you really did that for me, Marlo. So that's a good example for you.
I really like the points Sakshi made about gatekeeping information. I think there's a lot of how to do something, which is, if you think about it, on top of all the other challenges of having the courage of starting something and going out to meet customers, like the how is something that people should really freely share. So it's something that I'm really passionate about. And I mean, Usman often directs me to many other people of the alumni community, which is always helpful because some of the things that we've in Wholesum been able to do that many others want to learn from, and we're really happy to share about, is particularly raising capital when traditional VCs, or the VCs in Australia particularly, are very challenging to navigate, particularly in B2C markets or in very niche customer segments, is what we've been able to do. So that's something I was really happy to share, and I've had some really good engagement with other Migrapreneurs out of the Catalysr program. In terms of more tangibly, the thing that, I mean, obviously a lot of Wholesum and what we do is really focused on underserved segments, underserved migrants, underserved founders, including women founders. And I think two things from that. One is I'm always looking at what do we do in Wholesum as a business that we can just easily not outsource, the word is I'm looking for, but how do we just replicate that and has benefit for people even without a huge cost base to us. So one of the things I do is in Parramatta in partnership with Western Sydney University is once a month we meet up and we just invite entrepreneurs to come and hang out. We might invite a speaker every now and then, we'll do a workshop and just say, come, we'll organize the booking of this place. You can come and work and you'll meet other people, ask questions. And I usually make myself available during the day. So I don't typically try and have any major work meetings and say, look, I'm here with my laptop and phone. How do I help you? Do you want me to make a referral? Do you want me to review a pitch? Do you want me to share my own experience? So that's something I really look forward to every month, and really grateful Western Sydney University's Launchpad make that available. And then we started launching a conference program, which initially was a bit of a way to get lead gen for us. But through that, I've just been so surprised. People have been messaging me saying, I met someone who helped me in my business, or I learned about a particular financial service that I haven't been able to. So I think being cognizant about how your services can add value beyond just your core metrics. And it does take a bit of consciousness to have that. And the third thing is, one of the challenges we have is that we sometimes will hire team members and we might not have all the capacity to give them all meaningful work. So one of the things I do is, if there's non-profits or other organizations that need a bit of marketing help or research help, I've got like a full-time analyst available who I obviously engages with Wholesum work but has capacity. So we've leveraged those resources to help other sort of, particularly in our space of interest, like financial services, women. So we volunteer with an organization called the Rise Foundation that helps help people with an employment readiness program, or someone also put an event together, like we organize a conference in London on impact investing. So I think it's just being conscious of that. And part of it is because I've received so much of that benefit. People have gone out of their way to help me, and they still do. And we're trying to build that into the fibre and culture of Wholesum. So I hope we're able to keep doing that. And I feel like when it becomes so busy that I find that hard to do, then I know that something's wrong, or I've got to, change what I'm doing, the modus operandi, basically. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing, and thanks for doing the work you're doing. Because I know that you mentioned our Rise Foundation is actually another one of our alumni, and Tusney, and doing fantastic work with people facing domestic violence. Really curious, on the other hand, from you, Saurabh, and also from you, Nandeeta, around what value do you see for organizations like Catalysr to exist? Obviously, Ashik, you mentioned, like when you started, we weren't here, and so like to be able to kind of understand what that looks like, and particularly not just from a program perspective, but once you're part of an alumni community, what's the benefit of being a part of that community, and like what's the value that you've gained? So maybe we'll start with you, Saurabh, and then come to you, Nandeeta.
Sure. I mean, as an immigrant, as you might have faced as well, we all come from a very traditional kind of mindset, and it's a very mindset thing. Our friends and families all are in like very good, well-paid jobs, or like we want stability and things like that. So in your surrounding community, in your immediate community, there's not a whole lot of support for you as an entrepreneur. So when Catalysr came along, that was something very unique and very helpful to see people like myself being able to put themselves out there and meet fellow people who are trying to create these lovely businesses and social enterprises, and Catalysr being such an amazing, rich community of EIRs. Like, shout out to Rai, by the way, my EIR. She's been fantastic, absolutely lovely, and just that, getting that support system, Catalysr has become my second family. I know Usman knows I bug him a lot, and Shelby too. We even now we catch up every 2 weeks, and it's something that I found for life, and that for me is very enriching. So yeah.
For me, I work on my own. I think most people who've started their businesses work on their own, and it's pretty lonely. And I think I found my community working with Catalysr. And after doing and also mentors, my mentor is here, Vib, who was just such a huge support for me when I went through the program. But it's not just about the program, and once it finishes, it's this continuous support. I mean, I'm here today talking to you. The continuous support we receive, the introductions that Usman is on fire most of the time. Like, he'll be at events and he'll be like, you meet this person, you meet that person. And he's always doing that. And everyone he introduces me to, there's always something that they're able to help me with. So yeah, it's a beautiful community that is so supportive, and it definitely doesn't stop at the program. It continues.
Thank you, both of you. I did not pay them or bribe them to say those things, just FYI, but thank you, appreciate it. I know you have some questions as well, so do people want to raise their hand if you've got any questions? We'll give you the mic. Yeah, go for it. Do you want to?
I will be the first one to ask. And Ashik, that was a wonderful story that you shared, because I nearly cried. I was like, oh my God, there's hope for me. So thank you for that. my question is, what do you do when you do face that hard? We talk about success all the time. It's always about the happy and, you know, what you've achieved, amazing. But then what do you do with your mindset? Like the amazing community, I have to say, yes, Usman didn't pay me as well to say this, but it's wonderful to have this family with Catalysr. So what do you do when you mentioned mindset, you mentioned isolation, you mentioned loneliness and having to trudge through the tough times? So I just wanted to know what kept you going when Hail Mary wasn't enough. So I just want to know that, because yes, it is a shit fight, so I will swear too. You know, and it's very quick, it changes so much. And when you don't have that support, I'm not very technical, but I do have a team with me who is so passionate about the impact that we're making. I'm very lucky with that in this community. But yes, that's my question.
I can go first. For me, it's this fire in my belly, and like the 70, it's only 70 entrepreneurs I work with. There's a few thousand more out there. But when I talk to them and the impact they're creating, like a lot of times, I remember going to an event, taking a whole lot of candles and things, and they all fell and smashed, and I was like, this is it. This is it. I'm not going to do this anymore. And at the end of the day, I'm in a very impact business. And I think when I talk to the founders on my platform and the change that they're making, like a jewelry company that rescues women and girls from trafficking, a tea company that supports Australian youth with their mental health, a pet food company that rescues dogs around Australia and has rescued over 50,000 from euthanasia. So when I'm constantly surrounded by these statistics, you see 1,000 things in media that are going wrong. I'm surrounded by 1,000 things that are going right. And it is the most beautiful and powerful sector to be in. And it just, any time that I feel like, gosh, this is too hard, a beautiful story, a beautiful note, or a beautiful order from my wonderful customers comes through. So yeah, that was for me.
No, absolutely. I think the stories of impact what really get you going, particularly because everything else is like a grunt work. The thing that I'd add to that would be building a support base around is so important, and I feel so grateful for like my wife, my parents, and my friends. I mean, they all help in their own ways, whether it be like my wife had a pre-committed thing that she had to go to, and I was taking care of my son, but an important thing has come up and I need my mom to, like, can you take care of my son for a little bit? Let me sort out, I'll come and grab him. Having that ability and that support. And support is not just, I guess, other people, but also your own personal support base, whatever it might be. And for me, one of the things I'm trying to do a lot more, and it shows results, is your sleep, your diet, and your exercise. It's something that one sacrifices when pressure comes on, but it's what saves you when you're in a very tricky situation. I'm not perfect, I'm getting better at it, so I would love tips and ideas from other entrepreneurs, but I noticed now in third year of Wholesum, the stakes are a bit higher. There's more people, there's more pressure, there's more fires that come up that, patients have to deal with. But at the same time, if I don't put myself in the best position to be able to handle it, then everything else is not going to work. So that'd be the one thing I'd add.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll just add a couple of small things to it. And as cheesy and lame as it sounds, like affirmations help. For me, like waking up every day, there are moments of self-doubt, but then I tell myself, if I'll not believe in myself, who will? That's really important. Yeah.
Do you have time for me?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. I guess I'll set a scene for you. I was in India in this $20 bedroom with the electricity gone, and it was cold bucket showers that I was having with 3 mosquitoes in my bedroom that I couldn't kill because I can't see anything. And I had just had a breakup and in the middle of nowhere in Pondicherry, and I'm like, I could literally be doing anything else in the world right now because I was using my own personal savings that I had for a property, which I never ended up buying. And so there's so many reasons to shut down in those mindsets that I've been in. But I've been really lucky to be directly working with my beneficiaries. So what that means is, like, when you talked about the A times B times C, that really hit home for me, because I know that if I didn't exist, there's a significant and material impact on their lives. And to be able to see that impact directly keeps me going and makes that mindset worthwhile. And maybe that's toxic, I don't know. But it just makes everything worthwhile when you know that you're creating something that has a really deep impact. And if you didn't exist, it would have a detrimental effect. And then also just knowing that, and that's why I talked about random acts of kindness and believing in serendipity, because I swear every time I've been like, I'm quitting tomorrow, I'm ready, I'll get an email from someone who's like, hey, can I place an order? And I'm like, oh my God, okay, we're going to keep going. Even during COVID, Alan, I don't know if you remember this or not, but we were in another situation of we might shut down tomorrow, and then we came up this new business model of creating employment packs for corporates. We don't do that anymore. We might go do that again. But Alan was one of our first supporters of that. And I think that's the serendipity that I'm talking about, is if you put that out to other people, you just have no idea where that'll come back to you. And it really happens in those moments where you think you want to shut down.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing. And I think particularly for alumni in the room, this is really, really valuable to kind of know your strategies, how you kind of deal with that. Do we have any other questions in the room? Anyone has any questions? Feel free to raise your hand and I'll give you the mic. We've got a very shy audience. I think you're all hungry. You just want food. That's all right. It's all good. I have one final question from all of you, which is, what's your vision for the future? You're doing incredible work. So what's your vision for the future? And if you want to make one ask of this community, everyone who's here, what would that be? Take it 30 seconds to a minute. We'll start with you, Nandeeta, just go all the way down. Vision for the future and an ask for the community.
Yes. So vision for the future is something that the whole social enterprise community are talking about, that social enterprise will be business as usual, that it will be something that will be built into every business. So, so it'll be something that is business as usual. So that is the vision. And my ask is, learn about Goods for Good, learn about social enterprises in Australia. There's 12,000 of them. Everyone needs tea, coffee, sugar, you name the most basic things, there is a social enterprise out there who is making that. Find them and work with them. And also, if you're a chili lover, go to mateforchange.com.au and you can buy your chili there.
Might have to hit you up on that one. My vision would be that people talk just as much about making their investments impactful in the world as they do about property prices at any gathering. I think that would be an incredible shift in the mindset of ordinary people. My ask, we're launching a retail fund into Wholesum. We've been in the wholesale for so long, particularly because, as I mentioned, very costly, very challenging from a compliance perspective, but it's launching next month. Would love for you to at least express your interest to join it. We've lowered the minimum to $5,000 to make it evenly accessible. And that's going into funding entrepreneurs. For example, we recently funded a female entrepreneur based out in Melbourne who's producing Kenyan-style marinade sauces, and we funded her production run because she didn't have the capital, the $30,000 she needed. She's got a product. It sells out at farmers markets all the time. But that's the kind of impact that we have. Great margins, great products. So, yeah, that'll be my ask.
For my vision of the future, I would say in more recent years and even now, a lot of individuals have been empowered through tech, and this is no, it's not a better time for individuals to actually challenge the status quo, and more of them will do that. More and more of them will challenge the established systems. From my sector, I will try. The platform is set up to actually empower individuals to do so, and we'll continue doing that. And my ask from the community is if there's something on our side for everybody. So, you can come in if you're like a prose book reader. You can still enjoy a lot of graphic novels. There's a lot of stuff on the website that you'll enjoy in your favorite genres. So come in, support a lot of fantastic individuals from around the world creating this beautiful stuff. So yeah, that's it.
My vision for the world is for organizations like Catalysr and Sowing the Seeds to not have to exist, because we live in this equal and equitable world. And my ask is probably three things. One is that 30 June is coming up, and I'm sure you all need to find tax incentives. So consider donating to foundations that have DGR status, like Catalysr and Sowing the Seeds, or any other migrant-led foundation. The second is going back to my serendipity. If you can like a business in this room or introduce someone to someone that could help them, that would be awesome. And I would not be doing my job well if I didn't put a Sowing the Seeds plug. So if you are in the room today, or you know someone that needs anything wholesale textiles that can be handmade, all the way from tote bags, lanyards to fashion products, anything and everything, we can do it. Yeah, let me know, or you can look us up at sowingtheseeds.org or at sowingtheseeds.org.
Thank you for a wonderful discussion, and thank you for all your answers and all the amazing work you're doing. Can we please give them a massive round of applause? Thank you. So I've also got some small tokens of appreciation for you. Second. Hopefully I've given you the right ones. Please have a look at the name. Just check. Awesome. Thank you once again for coming. Thank you for speaking and sharing. Happy for you to kind of go take a seat. Thank you. So does anyone want to guess what's the next slide? It's not. There you go. See? It's not always a QR code. Sometimes it is. But what I want to do is just tell you what's going to happen after this, which is we're going to go have some amazing food and network. But you want to know who's in the room so you can network with them, right? So what I would love for you to do is to meet our team, our EIRs, our mentors, and our alumni. The difference is, if you look at these badges, the ones with the black background, they are Catalysr team, alumni, mentors, EIRs, and then the ones with the white background are everyone else who guests and are joining us. So can I please get anyone past and present in the Catalysr team to just stand up, so for everyone can kind of see who you are? It includes you, Alan, Sam, Marlo. Can you please all stand up? EIRs, can you all stand up? Just in the Catalysr team. Can you come here to the front so everyone can see who you are? Is that all right? Thank you. Perfect. And now can I also get the alumni who are joining us as well to join up here? All of these wonderful people. And you can kind of see who's come in, who are alumni, so you can kind of connect with them as well. And you can see there's quite a few alumni who are joining us. Awesome. Too many amazing migrant entrepreneurs. Well done. Come along, guys. Awesome. Perfect. Do you want to get closer so there could be a potential group photo? Yeah. Yeah, go get closer. Daniel, do you want to take a photo? This is the best chance you'll get. And for everyone, you know who they are, and you can kind of hang out with them. Awesome.
Is there any way everyone can sort of squeeze in?
Yeah. Squeeze in. It's all right. You've got it. Perfect. Ah. Thanks. Thank you. Awesome. Perfect. Thank you. Thanks very much. And can you guys please take your seat? Thank you. I'm not done yet. So, who wants to guess what's on the next slide now? I've heard QR code from a few people. Let's see. You're right, it's here. But this time with food. So please scan it support us, support all these amazing entrepreneurs. Get to hang out with them. We're going to be here till 8. There's going to be lots of food and drinks and everything on that side. If you have any questions for us, from me, from the Catalysr team, please let us know. But we're really grateful for you to come, and thank you so much for doing it. So I just want to say a big, big round of applause to everyone who's joined us, and particularly to our Catalysr team and alumni, and a big thank you to Salesforce as well, who've incredibly hosted us and kind of supported us. So thanks, everyone. Have a great night. Thank you. Please join us for food.